Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
We all love the low country lifestyle, which is why we should do our best to protect it. To get insurance that helps you protect your home from whatever the low country throws at you, contact CT Lowndes and Company today. Their local agents can review your coverage to help make sure you're properly protected. CT Lowndes and Company has been helping protect and insuring the low country since 1850. Visit ctlowndes.com to learn more and request a quote. That's ctlowndes.com.
I'm ready.
Okay, we're recording. Hold on. Okay, so now it's episode 2 of that show that we should be better at, right, Eric?
We really should be better at this.
How's it going? My name's Chris Donovan. I am sitting here with my friend and colleague, Eric Leckie, and we are in episode 2 of our podcast, just kind of doing some test runs and trying this out for a little while.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, you're already using big words like colleague. I'm actually pretty impressed. We're starting this off really well. You've used words over 4 letters long, so we're already ahead for the game.
It's not as late as it was last time, so I think I'll be okay today. All right, what do we got? What do we got planned, man?
Well, I gotta say, as we're recording this, people hearing this in other parts of the country and even locally here, this is during Game 7 of the World Series locally, taking place here in Los Angeles. And I got to say, so if anyone hears gunshots in the background, it just means the Dodgers scored a run. It's not fireworks. It's just people shooting in the air.
It's the riots. They're starting early. I told somebody at work today, I'm like, you know what? If you're going to the game, that's great, but just be careful for the riots. And he goes, nah, man, we're going to win. And I'm like, no, win or lose, there's riots. Riots are happening in Los Angeles today.
Yeah, it's weird. The riots when we win, I think, are worse than the riots when we lose.
Quite possibly, honestly, because more alcohol was flowing at that point, I think.
Do you remember the one about, I'm going to say, 2001 or 2? It was when Kobe and Shaq and the Lakers won, and they were just burning police cars. And it was the police literally abandoned their vehicles, and then just the crowd's like, yeah, we're just going to set those on fire now. I mean, it was...
I don't think I remember that, but who's Shaq and Kobe?
Oh, yeah, they're these players that used to play in a sport. It's not baseball, it's not football. I can't really remember it, but they bounce the ball. It's
not soccer?
Soccer. I think it's soccer.
Soccer?
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Football.
Football.
Yeah. Well, also, Halloween was last night, and I got to know, how did you and your kids and your lovely wife do on Halloween?
We did all right. My 14-year-old abandoned us again, went to a friend's house. So that's following suit with my family. And then we took the little ones out. My youngest one, Cassie, she's 6. She was a rainbow unicorn, oddly enough. And then my son was Rocket Raccoon. And he went to every door. Every door he went to, they're like, what are you? And he's all Rocket Raccoon. And they're like, oh, cool, you're a fox. Awesome. And he's like, no, I'm Rocket Raccoon. And then he went to another door. And he's like, who are you? And they're like, well, I'm Rocket Raccoon. And he goes, oh, cool, you're a raccoon. He goes... He got so pissed off. He's like, Rocket Raccoon! And then that was the wife. And then the dad's like, oh, I knew what he was. I get it, guys. Sorry. And then Aiden walks off all pissed off.
Yeah, kids get really into it. You know, we spend all this money on costumes, and the kids wear it for, you think it's going to be a 3-hour night, which is already too much to be spending for costumes. But really, an hour in, they start stripping away their costumes. I mean, maybe it's different on other parts of the country, but here in California, we actually have pretty nice weather on Halloween.
Right.
So it's still kind of warm. You got kids stripping off their masks. And by the time they get to like the 30th house, the kid's just wearing what looks like pajama bottoms. They're like, yeah, I'm Spider-Man. Give me candy.
Yeah, what did your kids dress up as?
Well, we always do pretty interesting ones. I got to say that we are pretty creative. My wife gives me bonus points. We try and come up with very obscure things or not the norm. We tend to dress up as a family, which I know as they get older, you have an older one. I know that's not going to be cute and wonderful. At a certain point, the teenager is going to tell me to go pound sand.
Yep.
But for now, it's all cute. We all get along. So in years past, we have all been Weird Al Yankovics, which was one of my personal favorite years. Last year, we went as the entire cast of the movie Clue. if you remember that movie with Tim Curry.
I remember the board game.
One of my all-time favorites. Yeah, and the board game. And this year, I let my daughter Audrey pick. She's 11, and she wanted to go as the cast of Gravity Falls.
Okay.
Which is a cartoon on the Disney Channel. And so we all dressed up as Gravity Falls characters, and I bet Audrey $1 per person that would recognize us, and I only had to pay $1 all night long. Only one group of people got us.
Yeah, that was my question: is how much did you have to explain your costume? And if you have to explain your costume, is it really worth it?
Last year for Clue, because we knew that was really obscure and it was more of an in-joke just for us, I printed out on a poster board the movie poster, and we carried it around with us just because I was so sick of explaining it. That I'm like, I'm literally just going to carry this poster, and when people would say, "What are you?" we would all stand in the same pose and took some photos. It was quite nice, but I got sick. I got sick of explaining myself.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. We stick to Star Wars. We were Star Wars one year. One year we were all pirates or something, and then one year we were all like cartoon characters. But the only themed ones we had were all the same costume was Star Wars, and yeah, we don't have to explain.
That's a great one to do, though. And that's a fun one. Yeah, that's a fun one. You never have to, and you're right. You never have to explain. Let me tell you, and all listeners here, my number one Halloween hack, my go-to. You could use this all year long. This is free advice, people. Not going to charge you. All I ask you to do is click subscribe.
Homeless person.
Exactly. No. My Halloween tip is when you get those candies, I'm going to say the Baby Ruths, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the Reese's Pieces, the Junior Mints, this type of candy. Put it in the freezer. Get a big Ziploc gallon bag. Fill the candy. Sort through the candy at the end. None of the sour stuff or whatever. You eat that, that's fine. Anything that's chocolate-based or anything like that, put it in the freezer, and then you just take it 1 or 2 out every single day, and you have it. They're so much better frozen. If you've never had a Junior Mint that was frozen, you haven't lived. You haven't lived. And that's my tip. And you could use it all year long. It's okay to do that in January.
I haven't lived, apparently. I do put stuff in the refrigerator, though. I put Reese's Peanut Butter Cups in the refrigerator or Twix.
Oh.
And
try it in the freezer.
My kids are hilarious because whenever they get Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, they just know instantly they have to bring them to me. They're not allowed to have them.
Yeah. Oh, that's how it works at our house.
I get Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. My wife gets, I think my wife gets Twix, and my son takes Kit Kat, and my daughter takes everything else.
I do not like chocolate. Not a big chocolate guy, but I will absolutely destroy and crush about 50 Reese's Peanut Butter Cups over the next 48 hours. It's going to be a really sad time for me. I'm going to be crying in the shower, trying to rinse away the shame as I've eaten my 30th peanut butter cup that day. But this is just that time of the year.
Going to be like sleepaway camp.
Yeah, it's literally just like the peanut butter cup touched me where they weren't supposed to touch me. Kind of a cry.
That's crazy. All right, so then.
Well, speaking of sport,
go
ahead. I want to talk some sports, man. We got the World Series happening here. Dodgers versus Houston. This is Game 7. Obviously, the game's gonna be playing out right now. They're playing the national anthem as we speak.
Are you watching it on TV right now?
I have it on in the background, and I'm, a MacGyver of sorts. Not to brag, but the TV's not in the most watchable position, so I have set up 2 mirrors that are reflecting image so that I can watch it from the position I'm currently sitting in from the office, and I'm pretty proud of that. Actually, it needs to be fixed. I need to get a TV in here, but for now I think it works. I'm bending the shot around the corner.
Well, that sounds like if you use 2 mirrors, the letters should be in the correct order. You won't have to read everything backwards, right?
They are. I mean, come on, this isn't my first rodeo. I mean, this is Eric Leckie we're talking about here.
Right. Look at you. You probably have that set up so you can sit in the bathroom too, huh?
Yeah, well, a guy can dream, can he? So, LA Dodgers versus Houston. This is an interesting fact I found out just watching the pregame show. Did you know that this is the first Game 7 ever played at Dodger Stadium?
I could probably believe that, yeah. Because the last time they went like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think it was 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. But even earlier on, if they did go to a Game 7, it's not their first Game 7, but they played it on the road. So there's never been a Game 7 in Dodger Stadium. I just think that's a cool thing. I am not a Dodgers fan, as we talked on the previous episode. I'm kind of rooting for Houston to pull it out. I think it's a better story. Plus, I just don't want to have to listen to insufferable Dodger fans for the next 20 years. But
win
this has
or
been a really
lose, you're
great
going to have to
series.
listen to them because they're going to either be like, yeah, we won. We're the best. We're the greatest. Oh, we were robbed. Those guys, those umpires. Ah, 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 ah.
That is an excellent point. But, this has been a World Series that has really lived up to expectations. I'm glad to see the ratings are good on it. And then, moving over to football, the ratings are down. I think people have lost a little interest this season. Some of it could be the protest. Others could be I think that it's just not a good product on the field right now. You have a lot of injured players, and it's
A lot of
not,
injuries
I
are
don't think
happening.
the product is good.
But you also have the Vikings at 6-2. I mean, come on, that's depressing already. You get the Cowboys at 4-3. That's kind of nice. I actually like the Eagles are 7-1. Would you ever see that coming down the road? 7-1.
I
Eagles.
did not. Carson Wentz looks like he is the real deal there in Philadelphia.
Jeez.
And, when there's only about 20 people on the planet that could do your job, the NFL quarterback is a rare thing. You got about 20 people on the planet that are good at it. I mean, and just to point out to everyone, there's 32 teams, which means there's about 12 teams that still don't have a good quarterback. But when you find it, I gotta say, the people in Philadelphia have got to be jumping for joy, but not really because they're from Philadelphia, which means they're still probably throwing batteries and tomatoes and stuff like that.
I think they hired Apollo Creed with a chicken to train the whole team to try to chase that chicken down in the stadium, and I don't think they caught it yet. That's why they're in such good shape and playing so well. But I wonder
where they got that idea from.
Rocky. So I do have to gloat a little bit. The Seahawks did win this last week against the Houston Texans. The game was crazy, and they barely pulled it off. Yeah, it was such a good game. I was so drunk by the end of it.
It was really the game of the week. It was not even close. That was the game of the week to watch. It was one of those games that makes you happy that you have a Sunday ticket. And you could choose that game to watch instead of being stuck watching the Chargers game or the Raiders game or whatever we get locally. But what a great game, back and forth. The Seahawks look like the real deal, though, this year. They just pulled off a big trade to get the left tackle from the Texans.
Yeah,
it's one of the best left tackles. That was a big deal, protecting Russell Wilson.
Giant deal. Our offensive line is really weak, and that's why we don't have much of a running game, which then puts Wilson in trouble because he's got to try to pass it and run. And well, it worked out for 4 games. We're in a 4-game winning streak, which I like. So, What else is there? Basketball doesn't count. Hockey's playing.
Wait, you know what though? Wait. There is one thing in basketball. You're right. I don't really follow basketball. I follow basketball when it's like the playoffs, and then I'm like, oh, what teams are in the playoffs? That's about when I follow basketball. But there was an interesting thing I saw. The basketball season just started, and the Phoenix Suns fired their coach after 3 games of the season, and I find that so odd. That's only 3% of the season. How can you get a reflection, and this is a new coach, how can you get a reflection of where the team's at, where it's going after 3 games? I don't get how you could evaluate anyone based on that.
That I do not know, but I would not be surprised if Sheriff Arpaio was part of it, because
I think maybe he was just arrested. I think the guy was Asian as a coach. Maybe that was it.
That's probably
I think
it.
you solved it.
They can carry guns and they're racist in Arizona.
The other interesting thing, moving on to a real sport like football, the Cleveland Browns did what most people are considering the most Cleveland Browns thing ever. By not getting a trade in. Did you hear about this story?
No. Let me pull it up.
So, the trade deadline was, I think Monday night, I think was the trade deadline for football. Mm-hmm. And normally trade deadlines of football, they're pretty basic. Not much movement happens. You get one trade here or there. It was actually a pretty busy day. You got Garoppolo getting traded.
Yeah, I saw
a lot of stuff happened. So the Cleveland Browns are trying to get a quarterback. They haven't had a good quarterback since ever.
Since they canceled the team, and then the city fought to bring them back.
In the middle of the night.
They did. They literally moved, and they're like, "Oh, we want a team, but you can keep a quarterback."
You have to go as far back as Bernie Kosar in the 80s and 90s, and he wasn't really that good. He was just the last competent quarterback they have. So they're trying to get their hands on a quarterback. So they contact Cincinnati, an interdivision rival, and they think they pull off a trade at the last minute for AJ. Oh gosh, what's his name? He was a quarterback for Alabama.
AJ McCarron.
McCarron.
Yeah.
And they think they pull off this trade. They celebrate. They're popping champagne corks, high-fiving each other, doing cartwheels, grabbing each other in the ass, whatever it is they were doing. They were celebrating, and no one thought to call the trade into the commissioner's office. Then the clock strikes noon, and then they call it in. The commissioner's office says, sorry, you didn't get your trade in time. They apparently had it done about 15 minutes in time. but no one thought to call it in. It's just the most Cleveland Browns thing ever to do.
They should have fired that guy from his job because apparently he didn't do it right. I mean, come on. Maybe he's going. Maybe he's going to go coach the Suns.
Well, you're running a multi-million, almost multi-billion, because you're part of the NFI. You're a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you have someone running that as essentially the CEO, and that person just doesn't understand how to get a trade in, or we got to get this in instead of popping corks and celebrating. It's just so embarrassing. What an how can you be a fan of that team, still go to games and everything like that? That's just pathetic.
Because their tickets are pretty much free at this point, aren't they? They just want people there. They're like, come on in, we'll give you a beer, a hot dog, and a seat. We don't care.
It's like the Costco special, the beer. It's a beer and it's a hot dog and a soda and tickets to the game for $1.50.
That would be amazing. Could you imagine? That'd be so awesome. They should have watched that movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner. They learned a thing or two, you know?
They would have. Kevin Costner, I want him to be my GM.
And I don't. I saw Waterworld.
That's right. Hey, you know what? Waterworld still made a lot of money. That always is like a joke here in Hollywood. You know, you don't want your movie to be Waterworld because it was considered a failure. The movie still made money. Didn't make a lot, but it made money. Nowadays, I think some of these movies they pump out, they don't recoup their cost. I think they wish they were a Waterworld and only made a few million. You know, they're usually in the hole 100 million.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit lately. So what else we got? Where are we done? What are we doing?
Well, let's stick with sports, but I want to change something up a bit. I want to talk to you about my favorite thing when I talk sports is I want to talk rule changes.
Okay.
And we don't have to go deep down the rabbit hole on this one because we could attack this many different ways. But I sometimes think that these leagues are run by stodgy old white men that don't want any change, that they're scared to do anything different. And I think that a lot of times that stifles the evolution of the sport. It also is losing viewers, or, you know, when now the experience is, you know, we have a million things to watch on our TVs and our phones and our tablets. You got to keep our attention somehow. So
baseball's never been good at that.
Baseball has never been good at that. So I want to give me an idea that you have on how you would fix baseball. Chris Donovan idea of what would you do to fix what you think is wrong with baseball?
Well, I'm a huge baseball fan, or at least I used to be because I used to play a lot. And something to fix baseball.
You were a first baseman, weren't you?
I was a first baseman. Yeah, I played first base. I pitched. I was pretty much anywhere. But to fix baseball, damn, I didn't read the prep sheet. I could have come up with something really good probably if I had prepared.
Let me my idea is, I think a lot of it is, you know, they always complain about the time of a baseball game, but I looked up online, and it said that the average baseball game has 10 to 12 minutes of what they call action time in it. And that sounds bad. And most people think football is a all action sport. However, football has apparently only 9.5 minutes of action time, meaning technically football is slower than baseball. So it's not the time or the action that I think people are complaining about with baseball. It's just the way sometimes baseball drags. You know, there's certain points of so I think you got to eliminate the fat. Now we're an infomercial. We got to cut the fat, people. I say you eliminate warm-up pitchers for relievers. Here's my concept. Here's the reason behind this. When you call in a reliever, you're essentially throwing up the white flag and saying, I need to sub a pitcher in because my pitcher can't hack it anymore, or whatever it might be, or you tired or whatever.
Yep.
That pitcher just got done in the bullpen throwing 30 damn warm-up pitches for the past 20 minutes, and now he's going to come in. He's going to walk slowly all the way to the mound. Then he's going to throw another 15 warm-up pitches. This is a lot of throwing, and then they always complain that the pitchers have thrown too many pitches. I got an idea. You shouldn't have the advantage as the team that has had to throw up the white flag of being able to say, I get to warm up my guy on the mound and get him used to the mound. I think it should be, he's already thrown his pitches in the bullpen. He gets carted out there. Remember the old golf carts that would escort him out? That gets him there quicker. Let's move this along.
Okay.
You escort them out, you get them on the mound, and they have to pitch. No warm-up pitches. Because why should you keep on defense get the advantage of, I'm going to get my pitcher locked in, get to have a discussion with the catcher? I think it's part of the evolution of baseball would be that the pitcher coming in should not have an advantage. In this case, it would switch the advantage to the hitter. I think it would change how we use relief pitchers. It would speed up the game. Think of how many you trim 10 minutes off of a game instantly, and I think you would actually make the product on the field better. That's one of the ways I'd fix it.
I agree with you. I agree. There is a lot of stuff like that. I mean, even don't they give like warm up pitches to people that are in in the field, if they do like a mid-inning change, they're like, okay, you can go out there and warm up a little. See, that none of that should happen. And in between innings, the pitcher should come out and throw like 2 pitches. 1 pitch to make sure he's not dead, and the second pitch so the catcher can throw it down to second base, and that's pretty much it. That would save a lot of time.
I agree with you. Because you gotta let the pitcher's arm. He was sat there through the half inning. Okay, let him stretch that arm a little bit. You're right. 1, 2, maybe 3 pitches tops, and then it's like, let's go, Pablo Sandoval, who's actually a third baseman. But let's go. It's time to start. It's time to start this inning. I think by that, you've probably trimmed off 30 seconds off of each inning. You've trimmed off another 10 minutes of relievers that you'd bring in from the bullpen. You're easily trimming 15 minutes of time off the game. And remember, it's not just time off the game, it's dead time.
Yeah.
It's when everyone is checking their phones if they're at the game, or leaving to go take a whiz, or changing the channel if they're at home. It's dead time.
Yeah,
so that's one of the things.
Their argument's going to be, well, that's plenty of time for people to go up and get beer and get some food and stuff. So we want to make sure everybody has enough time to do that and not miss any of the game. Well, there's TVs everywhere, people, and no matter what, people are still going to drink heavy or not. It's just the person's tendencies. They're not going to like drink any less heavy because they're going to miss a pitch. I mean, it's baseball, for God's sake.
And Chris, let me ask you, if I gave you a time limit and if I put a time constraint on you and said you could only have beer in this amount of time versus that amount of time, you're going to cut it. You're going to have the same amount of beer. You're just going to crunch the time.
I'm going to have a lot more beer before I get there is what's going to happen.
There you go. So that's how I would fix baseball. I think that baseball's in need of a refresher. I think if maybe I made another rule change, I would say, okay, it's time to just have the DH in both leagues. And I love baseball. I am a traditionalist at heart, but I think that I don't really get enjoyment out of watching the pitcher try and square around and bunt the runners over. And when they fail at that, even it's time to just have a DH in both leagues. I think that'll also help keep the pitchers a little more healthy throughout the year. That's what I would do.
I think it should be the opposite. I think pitchers should have to hit. I think that's part of the game. You're going to be out there and you're going to play the field. You should have to hit. You should have to learn to hit. You can't just come up on one thing. You don't just come up on fielding this, catching fly balls. No, you don't. You're a really good hitter too. So you have to do 2 things. You have to play offense and defense. Pitchers only offense. That's chicken shit. Come on, learn how to hit the ball. You've been doing it your entire career and you're going to stop when you get to the majors. Come on.
What do you think of expanding the 20-man roster to maybe like 26, 27? So you could more guys off. You can rest off and keep them healthier?
Nah, I think where they're at, they're fine. They should just nut up and actually play offense. Chickens.
Interesting. All right.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, I am ready to do some movies. Let's do it. So we're going to do Guys Movies. This is the theme for this week. Guys Movies. To remind everyone how we play the game, I'm picking from the 80s, which I've already going to be asking Chris for his score.
Hold on one second. Hold on. You're cutting out. So start with Guys Movies again.
Guys Movies from the 80s.
Jesus.
And whatever you would decide that constitutes a Guys movie.
Okay.
And to remind people of how the game works, the game goes like this. I'm going to ask Chris 3 movies, and he's going to give me his best score, what he thinks, not what he believes that the movie is to him, but what he thinks the critics gave it according to Rotten Tomatoes, and he's going to do the same to me. And in the end, we're going to see who was closest and who was best at guessing. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to lead this off. So this is Guys, and I didn't mean I just meant Guys movies from the 80s and 90s too, by the way. I screwed that up. But yeah, Guys movies from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, you did screw it up. Right out of the gate. You totally fucked it up.
Well, as the name of our show is, we should be better at this. I should have been better at that. So let me go first. My movie is from 1996. So I was wrong right after that. This is about wannabe actors who become regulars in the stylish neo-lounge scene. Trent teaches his best friend Mike the unwritten rules of the dating scene. This is the movie with Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau. It's called Swingers. It's
Jon
a guy's
Favreau's in that movie?
Jon Favreau, who is now turned into a total director. I mean, you don't even, besides recognize him as his small role in the Iron Man movies, he's essentially a director now. But at this time, he was trying to be an actor.
Yeah, he was a really good actor in Rudy. And if I remember correctly, he's now Spider-Man's babysitter. Is that what he is?
He is Spider-Man's babysitter, and he seems to love the role of Spider-Man's babysitter. Remember how he was fat. He was like fat actor.
He wrote this movie.
Yeah, he did.
Jon Favreau wrote this movie.
He wrote this with Vince Vaughn in mind. These are actual real friends, and they were trying to make it in Hollywood, and they decided why not write a movie about dating and trying to make it in Hollywood. I love this movie. It's one of the ones that was on heavy rotation. I think I burnt out the VHS tape on this.
Wow,
when I had it.
VHS.
Yeah, I had it on VHS, and I burnt out the tape where there was gaps in the movie. So if people came over to watch my VHS, when the gap would happen, I'd have to explain to them what was happening in the movie. So what do you think? What would be your score? What do you think critics gave this? Now, remember, this was an indie movie.
It was an indie movie, but it's also an indie movie about working in the acting scene, right?
This is true.
Which then Hollywood loves to stroke itself. So I'm going to say this is probably up in the 80s. So I'm going to say 82.
82. Okay. 82. That's a pretty good guess. All right. What do you got for me?
All right. The first one I picked for you is out of 87. It's a tough trucker named Lincoln Hawk is determined to win back his son and triumph at the World Arm Wrestling Championship. Remember that not Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone gets in there and he turns his hat backwards and he goes from like, oh, I'm your dad, I'm a nice guy, but I was a drunk before, but I'm back for you. Turns his hat around and he's like, I'm an arm wrestling fool, Adrian.
You know what I always remember about that movie is there's a scene, I think it's that exact same scene that you're talking about, and the guy he's arm wrestling, because it's an 80s hack movie.
Oh yeah.
With simple tropes and simple cliches, but the guy eats a cigar. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember he literally like chomps and eats a cigar? And I remember as a kid, this movie came out in I want to say what, 88?
87, 88, yeah.
87. Okay, yeah, it came out in 87. I was a young 7-year-old Eric Leckie. My dad took me to go see this in the theaters.
Oh, wow.
And I remember that was the scene that the next day when I'm telling kids at school that I went and saw the movie, there was this guy and he was so tough, he ate the cigar. I don't know why, but that was the scene that always stuck with me all these years.
My thought when I watched the movie when I was younger, when the kids started crying and complaining, I remember thinking to myself going, oh, my dad would have kicked my ass if I'd have said that right now. He was a little whiny little rich kid, but it was a good movie. I liked it. It's one of my favorites from then. So
was it televised? Do you remember like this arm wrestling championship? Was it like a televised event?
Oh God! During in the movie being
when
televised?
They're doing it.
Yeah. I think it was televised because it was technically at the Hilton.
Can you imagine nowadays? I mean, can you imagine going, honey? I'm inviting the guys over. We're ordering some pizzas. The big arm wrestling championships are coming up. I mean, she would look at you like, oh, come on, you've had enough sports.
She'd probably say something like, oh, you'd win one of those if you wanted to do it because I'm not having sex with you, so you're gonna jerk it for a while. That's what's gonna happen to you.
All right, so my guess on Over the Top, I like this movie for its cheese factor. It's definitely a cheese movie.
It is.
It's a good popcorn flick. It kind of, to be honest with you, when you brought it up, it immediately made me want to watch the movie. But I don't think it's a good movie. I think we all know it's not a good movie, but I don't know how low. I'm going to say 54.
I think you're low on that, and I'm going to tell you one reason why, and that's because this was post-Rocky when Sylvester Stallone could do nothing wrong in Hollywood, so they probably padded it a little bit just because it was him.
That's a good point. It's too late, though, to change. That would be cheating.
You're screwed.
Yeah, I know. All right, next up for you, I have a classic. You should get this on the description alone. This movie came out in 1988. I will say to my dying breath that it is a Christmas movie. It features John McClane, officer of the NYPD, who's trying to save his wife Holly and several others that were taken hostage by the German terrorist and the best terrorist of all time, Hans Gruber, during a Christmas party at the Nakatomi Plaza in Los Angeles. And I own a shirt that says I never forget Nakatomi Tower. I own a shirt that says that. I love this movie. This is a Christmas movie. But What say you?
This is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. This one, Nightmare Before Christmas, and probably National Lampoons. And everybody can argue that fact, but we all know it's a Christmas movie. Of course, the best line in the whole movie, yippee-ki-yay, mother, mother. And then, no, what's he say? He goes, are you Well, he goes, you got to, God, what is the line? Something. Does it sound like I'm ordering a pizza? Remember that? He goes.
I don't remember that line. I remember my other favorite one was when he straps the guns with tape to his back.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, wasn't that awesome? That was so awesome.
Yeah, and this has the late great what's his face in it? Professor from Harry Potter. The guy, what's his name?
Oh, Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman's in this. Yeah, he was the villain.
And what this is such a performance. And you gotta think that.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. Preg is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Amazon Delivery Service Partners are hiring full-time delivery drivers to meet growing customer demand. Receive compensation of at least $20 per hour at select stations, plus benefits, and a sign-on bonus of $1,000 from participating DSPs if you apply now. No delivery experience required. Must be 21 years or older. Terms apply. Apply today at amazon.com/driver. That's amazon.com/driver.
This is something that drove how they did movie villains going forward. This kind of movie villain with a charm to him almost. I mean, he was almost charming in a way.
An intelligent villain.
Yeah, really, really intelligent, snarky comments, almost has as much screen time as the hero. This is totally I remember when he says he's huddled in the air vent and he come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
Yeah, he's talking to himself.
You got Bruce Willis crammed into an air vent. You got Bruce Willis walking across broken glass, which was just the most baller thing to do at the time. That was absolutely awesome.
I'm pretty sure this movie gave me some sort of issue every time I went somewhere. I had to wear shoes because if glass broke, I didn't want to have to walk all over it.
Well, what say you about the critic score? Now, remember, this is a critic
score. It's a big one. I would say this is in the 90s, but I'm just going to say 90.
90 points. Okay, that's an interesting one. All right.
That was the first of the series. What did it go? It's like at 6 now or something, but this was the one that paved the road for the second one, which was okay, but then they brought Samuel L. Jackson in for the third one, and they just murdered it. It was amazing.
Yeah, that one was so much better. I love that one. That's a fun one.
Yeah. So now for you, this is a movie that it's a sequel. So it's not the first one. It's a sequel to a movie called Alien. It's called Aliens, and it's 57 years later as Ellen Ripley is rescued by a deep salvage team during her hypersleep. The moon from the original movie had been colonized, but contact is lost, and these bunch of Marines have to go down there with the crybaby Bill Paxton. He was down there. We're all going to die, man. We're going to die. And
oh, God, rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, that guy was awesome. All these people are dead in these movies. What are we doing?
We're getting old.
Yeah, that is true. But this is probably one of my favorite movies. One of the first series my dad ever allowed me to watch. That was violent.
Wow, you watched this? Was this in theater watching or in a VCR?
My parents were cheap and lazy, so they waited until that came out on VCR. But we had this when we bought this one, and it was on repeat quite a bit in our house. My dad was a huge fan of these movies, and those in Star Trek. So what do you think? 86, the sequel to Alien called Aliens, where she has to save Newt. Do you remember who Newt was played by?
Carrie something. Like I said, I know her name's Carrie.
Might pull it up a little faster, but my computer's going slow. But yeah, the funny thing about her is it's the only movie she's ever been in.
Really?
Her name's Carrie Henn. It's the only movie she's ever been in.
Wow.
So if you ever want to stump somebody.
The other fact I know about is it's the same thing as the guy who played Rocky in Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was the only movie he ever made, and after that he just started selling insurance.
Yeah, well, that's what most actors do. Most waiters do after they're done acting. They start selling insurance or sell houses.
Well, I think this one was better than the original.
I agree.
I'm definitely a fan. And by the way, the original was pretty good. A lot of people actually mistake this for the original. When you say, "Oh, I just watched the movie Aliens" or what have you, they think that they think that was the original. But Aliens, the pluralization, makes it the sequel. This is a great movie. This is one of the few times, maybe besides Godfather Part 2 or what have you, where the sequel is as good, if not better, than the original. It's one of those rare cases. And I think the critics liked it too, so I'm going to say pretty high. I'm going to say 88.
88. And it's so funny because the first movie and the second movie are totally different types of scare. The first movie is there's this monster, but you never see it. And when you do, somebody dies or somebody gets hurt. This one is there's these monsters. You see a shit ton of them. And when they're there, pretty much everybody runs for their lives. So it's like instead of not being able to see it and being scared of kind of like the dark, the second one's like, oh no, they're right there and they're probably going to kill us. It was kind of like we we're not in the dark anymore. We're here. We're going to kill you. So it's kind of like two different scares, these movies. I really like it.
It was such a nice transition too. I thought they did such a great job. You're right. That first one was almost Hitchcockian in the way it was. We're going to scare you with what you think is there and what you think is coming. And then the second one, it's just like,
we're here.
Okay, it's go time.
Right.
You know?
So
yeah, what a great movie. All right. So next one.
No, let's stop at 2. We're running a little long. Let's stop at 2.
All right, we're gonna stop at 2. So let's go off to Swingers. The Swingers movie you guessed was 82. This was a really good guess because Rotten Tomatoes, the critics there had it at 87. So you were only off by 5. Really, really close. The next one up for you picked Over the Top. I guessed 54. And Rotten Tomatoes, I was a little off, so I'm starting in a hole here. Rotten Tomatoes had that at 43.
Wow. That's at 11 points.
I was way off there.
11?
No, that is 9. Oh, no, it's 11.
I would have assumed that would have got a higher rating, but who am I?
Wow. It's just more fun. So then on Die Hard, you pretty much nailed this one. You guessed it was 90. Rotten Tomatoes has it as a 92. And I want to meet the 8 people that didn't like it because that's insane. It's a great movie. You only got 2 points on that one. You're going to have a total of 7.
I already beat you.
On the next one, Alien. Yeah, you already beat me right now. But just to let everyone know, I guessed 88 on Aliens, and Aliens is a 98. That is tough to beat. You know how tough it is? It's less than 1% of the movies that come out that score higher than like 95, 96, 97. So this is one basically saying everyone liked it. If you don't like this movie, you're an idiot. So Chris totally dominated that game.
I win. Hey. I got it. About time, because last time you killed me, so I feel a little better about that. We shortened it down a little bit. I like it. 2 or 3, depending on how much time we got. So that was called Hollywood?
That was called, Hollywood.
All right, what's next?
I'd like to mention I sell this device and it's doing pretty well right now. It's called the Wearator. It's out in stores everywhere. Look for it. It's called Wearator, spelled Wearator, and visit it at wearator.com.
Calling all alcoholics.
I am an alcoholic, but it's different because I get paid to be an alcoholic. So that just makes me employed.
That's true.
I want to go under my skin here for a little bit. So I just want to talk about people. This is mainly an LA problem. I'll admit it. It might be a regional thing, but convertibles, convertible cars, and not the convertibles themselves. Because let's face it, some of the most beautiful and wonderful cars in the world are convertibles. But here's what bothers me: you buy the convertible. Oh, it's sleek, it's stylish. You're gonna go out on the road. You're having your midlife crisis. You're 48 years old. You're trying to date. You're recently divorced. You're gonna try and pick up the 22-year-old waitress. I get it. I have no problem with that. God bless you, sir. I wish I was you. However, here's the problem I have. You roll that top down. Oh, you're so cool with your balding head and your mustache blowing in the breeze. But what do, you gigantic pussy? You roll up the windows. And I am sick and goddamn tired of people who put down the convertible top but don't want the wind in their hair, and they roll up their side windows. I think when I'm president, when I'm governor of this fine state, I'm going to make it a law that there's going to be a special tax for those rich assholes that own the convertibles but do not want their windows down as well. I think if your top's down, windows down. How say you, sir?
Okay. I'll just let that sit there for a minute. All right.
That doesn't anger you?
No, I'm not rich enough to have a convertible, so I've never really thought about it. I used to. It's so funny because my in-laws, they just bought a brand new car, not a brand new car, but a new car to them, and it's their first sunroof, and they're in their 60s. And I'm thinking to myself, late 50s. And I'm thinking to myself going, I've had a sunroof for a year. They're really not that much fun because what happens is the sun comes in it. And when you're driving and the sun's kind of like, you close it and you just put up the backside. So I don't know. I mean, I get it when you're driving on the freeway, but I don't know. I haven't put that much thought into it. You think you have an obsession.
I do, but that's also why it gets under my skin, as the bit says. I just don't like it. I don't like it. The weather's perfect here in California. You have the top down, but you don't want the wind. I just think, come on, you're being a gigantic puss. If you're willing to put the top down, you got to be able to have the wind in your face a little bit. Or how about this? Car designers design cars where the wind doesn't whip around and hit you in the face. I just spent 80 grand on this convertible to celebrate that I just sold my screenplay, and but I got bugs flying in my eyeballs. So, come on, either design the cars better or quit being a puss and roll your.
There you go.
All right, next up, we're going to go to my favorite segment. This is called SMRT Smart. This is the real dumb news, as we call it. These are stories of people who, let's face it, Chris and I have been there. We're not as smart. We should be better at that as well. But these are just stories of people who are being dumb. The great thing is they're people being dumb all the time, and we'll never run out of stories for this.
I think this first one is awesome.
This is pretty cool. So Brookline Police, which Brookline is a small city in Massachusetts, they're trying to identify a bank robber suspect. Now, when you think bank robber suspect, you're thinking guy in a mask. Maybe he has an identifying tattoo, dead presidents. Oh, yeah, of course. You're thinking of something cool. You're thinking of the movie Point Break. You're thinking of something like that. You're thinking maybe this guy has an identifiable tattoo or something that they're trying to get. Well, they're trying to identify a suspect, and they need the community's help. But Chris, what do you think they need help identifying on this particular bank robber?
Well, I think that I have an upper hand on this because I read the story, and you know what? Honestly, I didn't even read the story entirely. I just looked at the two pictures that they showed from the police or from the security cameras, and all you can see is this chick's rack. Like,
it is a humongous. We're talking size double R.
We're talking honestly, back women, problems.
I don't know my sizes. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, no, these are R's, G's. I really don't know what the size goes to, but whatever it is, she's in it. These are humongous.
But there's no like identifying tattoo or anything on them. It's just a nice, plump, natural set of bosoms.
Yes, and they're caught so square on because she is wearing, as a woman would if she had a wonderful rack like that, she's wearing a how low cut of a – I want you just to do some mental math. Count from her chin to where the low cut of the shirt is. How many inches would you say that is?
I don't have to count. I can see her belly button.
It is the most low cut of low cut shirts you could possibly get to. It's literally just covering her areola. So what the police are saying is she was able to rob the bank. It was a Bank of America, and she was able to rob the bank, and she did so with just a low hung shirt. And the police are now putting her picture out there, hoping people notice the woman with the really nice rack, and they turn her in.
Somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, I remember her from high school." Because she looks kind of young. She does look kind of young. She looks like she's in her late 20s. I mean, she doesn't look too young, but she is also looks like she's a little mixed, like white and black maybe. So you know how they say it, black don't crack. She could be a little bit older, but I think I'd like to have her take me to dinner.
Yeah, she's got the money. She's quite attractive. Yeah, she's quite attractive, and she does have the money. You're correct. The next story is a nice little quick one. It has a simple, quick delivery. I'm just going to read it to you. This is Jose and Maria finally married after a prolonged 40-year engagement. So imagine being engaged for 40 years. Imagine those those family gatherings. Oh, Maria, when are you going to get married? Oh, any day now. And that he was able to string this along for 40 years. So what do? He strings it along. I'm assuming it was him that strung it along. But they have a 40-year engagement. Then they get married. And what do you think happens? He immediately regrets his decision and files for divorce. How long? Let's play a game, Chris. How long after getting married? Remember, they were engaged for 40 years. Jesus. How long after the ceremony did they wait to file for divorce?
I would say 40 years of being together and then just saying the words "I do." I'm sure you've got a good week in you.
Oh, no. Oh, you're crazy, sir. How dare you think that they could last that long? You stupid fool. This is a couple who, after a 40-year engagement, they get all their family and friends together. They have this nice big ceremony. He calls and files for divorce 30 minutes after the ceremony.
Can't you get it annulled at that point?
I think that's what it would be called. It would be an annulment. But you did just force your family and friends to go through that, and you told everyone for 40 years that you're going to get engaged. And let's just assume that they were 25 when they got engaged. That means this couple is 65 years old, and he's like, I'm not really ready for a commitment.
Yeah, I'm gonna swim in the fishbowl for a little bit longer and see what other fish are out there. Or hold on. I hope when he goes to court, the judge looks at him and goes, "Oh, shut up and be married." Just because 40 years.
I'm thinking, all right, come on. At a certain point, like you said, give the girl a week. I mean, come on.
Plus, usually when you get like an annulment after like 30 minutes, you find out something. Oh my God, it's crazy! Like you didn't find out she was a stripper, or you didn't find out she was married before, or she had kids, or the guy had kids. You didn't find any of that stuff out. 40 years with her, I'm pretty sure you know everything already. So
yeah.
I really hope the judge is Judge Judy of everybody and just goes, you know what?
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Shut up, you're stupid, stay married.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so our third and final story under my favorite category, or SMRT. Let's talk about another armed man. We had the chick with the big rack trying to rob a bank. This is an armed man who tried to rob a store.
Oh my God!
He apparently he didn't have a mask like the old ski mask to pull over, or a dead president's mask. He wore a scuba mask to rob the local liquor store. It's called a Speedway store in Largo. Of course, this is Florida.
Right.
And he robbed it wearing a scuba mask and used a knife. And I believe from the pictures, I have been scuba diving before, that is a scuba diving knife. So I think he literally just had these things in his car and tried to rob the store.
It is Florida, and there's lots of ocean all the way around it. So of course he's going to have these things that are just accessible to him. But if I'm not wrong, scuba masks are made of glass, right? Like you could see through them.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Right. Like this guy's really our super SMRT award winner on a couple of levels.
Right.
Number one, he is trying to rob it wearing a scuba mask. But yes, as you clearly pointed out, the mask is clear and see-through, which defeats the purpose of a mask. But I got to ask you, do you think, him wearing all that scuba gear, do you think he had a getaway diver?
Oh, God, I'm not putting in the That was rough.
Oh, that one felt really good. I'd like to thank everyone for sitting through that one. I get that was just very enjoyable for me.
You worked too hard for that.
All right. Well, I worked hard, and that's going to end this segment of SMRT for this week. And then next up, what do we got next?
Next is Movie Connection. Apparently, Eric has some crazy skill, which wouldn't, pass
I do.
by
I
me
don't
very
have
much.
many.
Yeah, yeah, but when you do, they're pretty awkward. He's not. Let me read exactly what he put down here. Eric is not very good at much in life. His confidence is high.
True. So wait. Let's pause. So far, that statement is true.
Yeah, confidence is not his best suit, but he has this useless ability to being able to connect actors, directors, etc., like the old 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which I used to play all the time when I was younger. So let's challenge him right now. I have to come up with 2 actors. All right, I'm going to come up with 2 actors.
Okay. Yeah, so my skill's always been, I played this a lot as a kid, and my sisters would I'm pretty close with my sisters, and they would just constantly challenge me. And before the internet, before there was an IMDb or a Rotten Tomatoes or a eBay or any of this stuff, there was just people who were able to memorize stuff. And I had always I was able to do this, like a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon type thing. And so I thought I'd throw it out there. This is my useless. I'm going to have to make Chris do one of his useless skills. Which,
Thank God it's not a video podcast.
Uh-oh. I've heard rumors, sir. Anyways, I'm going to say I'm not perfect at this. No one is, but I'm pretty good at it. And I think if you threw out 2 actors, I could probably come around to connecting them somehow.
And then let's be clear. If let's say we would do Kevin Bacon, you would be like, okay, Kevin Bacon was in a movie with Elizabeth Shue. Elizabeth Shue was in a movie with Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was in a movie with Christopher Lloyd. That's how they're ranked, kind of thing.
Yes, that's how I would do it. I try to get it within 3 or 4 steps if I can, but I've had to do some marathon ones where I've had 12 steps to get to the person, but I was able to get there. But we'll see. It depends on what you throw out.
All right. Well, we've already been talking about him a little bit tonight. Let's start out with Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn. Oh, by the way, have you seen the clips for his new movie where he's shaved his head bald and he's going to be like this hardcore prison inmate?
It's like Fight in Cell Block 12 or something.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see it because I think he could play that manic guy pretty well. So it's interesting. All right, so Vince Vaughn, and who are we trying to link Vince Vaughn to?
I don't know how easy or hard this is going to be, but he's one of my favorite actors of all time. I'm going to say Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, the classic. What's great about you picking Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks has been in 500 million movies.
I know.
And they're all like big hits. Well, anyways, I think I could do this. So, okay, well, Tom Hanks is known for, let's see. He was in, geez.
They're like two different different style actors, different audiences, different demographics and everything. So good luck.
Well, I'll tell. Okay, one that I know that there was a movie. Oh, geez, let's see. Tom Hanks was in the movie The Papers, which hasn't come out yet. I don't know if that guy was in that movie with Vince Vaughn though. This is a tough one. You picked a really good one.
Did I stump somebody with a stupid skill?
No. I mean, I could probably. Let's see. He was in.
You need to build a website.
Okay, hold on. Here we go. Tom Hanks was in Saving Mr. Banks in 2013, which was a Disney movie.
Okay.
And he was in that movie with an actor named Tobin. He's one of those actors that you'd recognize if you saw him.
What was his name again?
But he was in Transformers, John Tobin. He's been in Transformers, A Beautiful Mind, Argo, The Artist. He was in a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
He was in Wedding Crashers with Vince Vaughn.
Oh, really? That quick? That easy?
Yep.
Tobin. I'm pulling this up. I don't know if I believe you. John Tobin. My internet's not working great, so this might take a minute. All right. Why is it not? There it goes. Come on. Are you seriously? You got it in 2?
Yeah, that one was easy just because I remember him from Wedding Crashers. Give me another one. Let's do another one. Let's give me 2 different. Give me 2 different ones.
I'll make it really easy for you. Let's do Vince Vaughn and Sean Astin.
And Sean Astin, huh? By the way, Sean Astin is in the new Stranger Things.
Yeah, he's the fat hobbit.
Well, this is the easiest one in the world to do because Sean Astin was in Rudy in 1993, which Vince Vaughn was in it with Jon Favreau as the kind of asshole football player.
Yeah, most people don't know Vince Vaughn's in that movie. That's why I was trying to slide it past you.
All right.
John H. Tobin. Is that his name?
Yes, John H. Tobin. He's been in a bunch of stuff. The guy's been in a million movies, but he's always the like a side character.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so give me one more. Let's do one more quick one.
Argo, Fuck Yourself. That's here. Madman, Saving Grace. Okay, let's do Tom Cruise.
Oh, crazy Tom jumping on the couch. Tom Cruise. All right.
That's an old reference, and that shows your age. Okay, Tom Cruise and let's say Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, man, you're picking like the best of the best here. I mean, Kurt Russell's one of my all-time favorites. If let me ask you, if Kurt Russell's in a movie, you go see it, right?
Pretty much, unless it's another Snake Plissken movie, then you just need to stop doing that stuff.
Yeah, good point. But I love Kurt Russell. Well, this is another easy one. Kurt Russell was in the movie Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, so they were in a movie together.
Fudge up.
But honestly, I don't know if I have another. Yeah, they were both in Vanilla Sky.
Yep.
But this goes. I think it still proves my point. I could do this pretty good.
Just takes you a minute.
I'd like to. You could challenge me. You could challenge me anytime. And I'm ready to move on. I feel like I've defended my title. And you could stump me another time. So
okay.
Let's move on.
Okay, I wanted to add this feature to the end of the show because every podcast I listen to, I really like having some sort of close. There's something that happens at the end of the podcast that always makes me laugh or makes me think or makes me really want to listen to the whole entire thing till I get to the end. And this one is called The List.
How does it go, Chris?
This is basically something that everybody has. Every man has, every woman has, and when they get married, the list usually expands as the years go on because honestly, marriage is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but my wife really knows. My wife knows if I run into Alyssa Milano on the street and she's willing to just give it up, I'm going to cheat on her. So what this is us adding one person to our list at the end of every show. And it could be topical, it could be male, could be female, could be transgender. I don't know what some people are into. It could just be whatever you want. Let's just not go into the animal range, please, there, Eric. And,
geez. Okay, hold on. That sound you hear is me scratching a bunch of things off my list. But let me tell you, Shamu, if you ever get caught looking the wrong way, I could slip it in there. You better look out. That's all I got to say.
Slip it in there. You could fall down inside of it?
Yes.
Okay, so basically this is us adding a person to our list. And again, my list is already made, but I'm just going to start fresh. And I'm going to say that not being in the moment now, I would just say my go-to on this one is Alyssa Milano. She's one of my favorites.
And she's into baseball. She loves baseball.
Yep.
She is totally not showing her age. Talk about someone who has aged just beautifully.
She's a
You
MILF.
can get Alyssa Milano in 1996 or in 2006 or in 2016, and she looks amazing in either of those.
Yep, she's amazing. She could be my boss any day, right?
Absolutely.
That's an old reference.
That is a really old reference. Well, I gotta say, let's see. I would like to add. I'm gonna reach way back. I'm gonna go into the way back machine here, and I'm gonna say one of my go-tos, and not so much anymore. But there was a good decade, and so I think I got to put her on there as kind of a legacy pick. I'm gonna go with Alicia Silverstone. Something about her pouty little lips and her kind of like ditzy, almost whatever demeanor,
Clueless.
especially in the movie Clueless.
Mhm.
And in the really cheesy 1999 movie Blast from the Past, something about Alyssa Milano just really revs my engines, and she just seems like that perfect girl next door.
Yeah.
I would have to say that she would go on my list of not just for beauty. I just think we'd get along really well. So Alicia, if you're listening, I love my wife and all, but give me a call.
Yeah, right. Okay. Now she was in, let me know if I'm wrong. She was in the music video with Liv Tyler, right?
She was crazy.
Yes, Aerosmith. See, that's what. Yeah, that was the shiznit back then.
And that was right at that time where she was like on my bucket list of girls. Right at that time.
I've touched her butt before.
Please do tell.
I'm not lying. I was actually, when I moved to California, you knew me at the time. I was working, doing extra work on all sorts of shows, and she had a TV show out for 1 year. It only had had a lot of episodes, actually.
Are you talking about Miss Match?
Miss Match. I was on that show
that's
twice.
right. I follow her quite closely, so I knew that short-lived 8-episode show.
Yeah, so I was on the show, and she was standing there, and she was kind of like being, I don't want to say like paparazzi'd with a bunch of people, and I was standing behind her, and I was like getting not pushed up against her, but I was right behind her, but my hand brushed up on her butt, and she looked back at me, and I was like, sorry, and she goes, no, it's fine, and I'm like,
oh my goodness,
I wish that would have been more of a grab.
Did you let the hand linger?
No, I'm not Harvey Weinstein.
Okay.
I
mean, I would have, because that's your opportunity to play it off like, oops, it was just an accident. You just let it linger for that half a beat longer. It was goes from being an accident to a butt grab.
It was literally an accident, and I don't talk down to women or anything like that, so I would really never do something like that. I can joke about it, but I won't. But she was really nice about it, and I was on the show twice. It was really cool because that was the one time we were shooting during the day, and then we did this night scene one time. We had this big party in the back of this mansion in the Hollywood Hills, and it was cool to be back there. And then I was like, I had to use the restroom, so the restroom's inside this mansion, so I had to go inside the mansion, and she's like kind of off in the corner in her own little chair. She's got her people around her, and I'm just walking, and she's like, hi, and I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, and she's like, hi. She was really polite, really nice, didn't have to say a damn word to me, but actually spoke up. So I agree with you. I'd have to say Alicia Silverstone might make my list down the road.
Well, I'm a big fan of Frank Sinatra. I have a Frank Sinatra tattoo on my arm and everything. And maybe in a future podcast, I'll have to tell you about when I met one of his daughters, Nancy Sinatra and Tina Sinatra, and when I accidentally threw my drink at them.
Well, I'm sure that'll be on your list eventually.
Yes, it'll be on my list eventually. Well, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
What say you, Chris?
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that every week we're going to end the show with the list. We're going to count down what we've done so far and then add another one to the list.
I can't wait to add.
I know.
I can't wait to add more.
I can't wait until there's some controversial movie or something that comes out and it makes somebody look that much different, and then we're like, oh, yeah. So yeah.
Well, you could find me on Twitter at Sinatra's Rat Pack. I did tell you I was a big Sinatra fan, so Sinatra's Rat Pack on Twitter. And Chris, where can we find you?
You can go to DonovanChris.com, and that takes you directly to my Twitter, which is Chris_Donovan. That's my social media of choice. I think I'm Chris-Donovan on Snapchat, and you can find me Chris Donovan on Facebook or Instagram. I think I'm Chris-Donovan. You know what? Chris_Donovan at Twitter will work.
And go to Amazon, please, and buy my book, Alcohol and Cigarettes. It's my second book, and it's doing quite well. Please go out and look at it. And that about wraps it up. So I'm Eric.
I'm Chris.
And we could file this podcast as another example of how we really should be better at this. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Catch you later.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.